Hey Sweet Squad, it's Devin with Sweet Notes Bakery, and in this video, I'm going to teach you how to make the perfect cinnamon rolls. And get rid of that self-doubt, because yes, you can do this, okay? So, if you have a stand mixer, get your mixer bowl and your paddle attachment. You don't need a dough hook. If you have a dough hook, great. I prefer to use the paddle attachment, so let's do that, okay? I am making a double batch because I'm at my bakery and that's what I'm making for tomorrow. Yes, you can do these overnight, so I'm going to talk you through both ways. So I'm going to say the amount of ingredients that you need and I will put those on the screen, okay? All right, you need 1 cup of milk that is warm to about 110 to 115 degrees. Yes, it is important that it's warm. Whole milk is best, but you can use 2%. I wouldn't use anything less than that because we need that fat. Put that into the bottom of your mixer bowl. Okay, now we are going to add 2 tablespoons of white granulated sugar. What we're building now is what is going to help our yeast bloom and grow. And sugar is something that yeast feeds on, so that's what we're giving it. Then you need 2 standard size packets of dry active yeast, or if you have yeast like this, that is 1.5 tablespoons. And we're putting all 3 of these things in the mixer bowl. I'm gonna run the mixer on stir just for a second to get it incorporated. Then we're gonna let it sit for 5 minutes to let that yeast, absorb the sugar and start to bloom, and then we'll go on with the rest of the recipe. Okay, so this is what it should look like. If you need to wait 7 minutes or 10 minutes till it looks like this, that's okay. But this is what we're looking for. Foamy, that means that yeast has bloomed and activated. Okay, so now we're going to add in the rest of our sugar, which for you will be 1/2 cup. And we're going to put this on stir. Let that just kind of mix around. And then you're going to need 2 eggs. If you can let them come to room temperature, fantastic. If not, don't sweat it. All right, so eggs going in. Now it's time for 1 stick of unsalted butter. 1 stick equals 1/2 cup. Now this isn't my recipe, but this is the recipe I use. This is Sally's Baking Addiction. It's a blog. She's on Instagram. She's coming out with her own cookbook. I can't wait to pre-order it. Her recipes are amazing. They are tried and true. I use a ton of them in my bakery. We need 2 more ingredients. You need 1/2 teaspoon of salt. It's important that you put the salt in at this point. If you put the salt in before we bloom our yeast or anything, salt can kill yeast. So we don't want to do that, okay? And then, this isn't in her recipe, but this is something I do. I add a little bit of cinnamon right into the dough mixture. Not a ton, just a little, because I feel like it gives it a little extra flavor. You will need 4.5 cups of an all-purpose flour. Not bread flour, just all-purpose. Okay, all of our flour's in. So now you're gonna let it mix just on stir, or your first level, which I believe is level 2, for about 3 minutes. While this is happening, let me explain the 2 different ways you can use this recipe. You can do it the way that I do it, which is an overnight cinnamon roll recipe. So basically, after this is done, we're gonna do a proof, we'll roll it out, we'll fill it, we'll cut our cinnamon rolls and place them in pans. And then we're gonna pop them in the fridge, and the next morning, I'll take them out, do a second proof, and bake them off. Or you can do it completely traditionally, which is make our dough. We do our first proof, roll it out, fill it, cut them, put them in the pan, and then proof them again right away, and then bake them, and then serve them. For me, with the bakery, it's great to do the overnight, so the bulk of the proofing is done. Then I come in the morning, take them out of the fridge, let them proof, I'm doing some other things, and then bake them just before, make sure that they are coming out of the oven just before I open my doors. So as I'm watching this mix, you'll see it all should pull away from the sides. The sides of your bowl should look really nice and clean. If you see some chunks of butter, girl, that's okay. So once you need it, I am going to take out the paddle attachment, leave it in this bowl and cover it with plastic wrap You can cover it with a damp towel if you want. Leave it in a warm-ish place. You don't have to have a proving drawer, and let it proof for about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes, but you want to see that it's doubled in size. So your environment will affect some of that. In the summer, all of my yeast products, my breads, everything, it's naturally warmer in the kitchen. They proof faster than the winter when things are a little cooler and drier. So depending on where you live, it may take a little bit longer. Hey friends, we're back. Our bread, well, cinnamon roll dough is proofed and gorgeous. All right, so you want to make your filling. You need 2 sticks of unsalted butter, softened, not melted, softened. You will need 1 1/4 cup light brown sugar and 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. But honestly, cinnamon to your heart's content, okay? So I have mine here ready to go. Now, it's time to form and roll out the cinnamon rolls. You will take all of your dough at one time. I'm going to take half of mine. I'm going to put a little bit of flour down on my nice clean surface. But this shouldn't be an overly sticky dough. And you will see when you put your hands in it, it is so soft after this first proof. So you want to take your dough, turn it onto your floured surface, and you'll need a rolling pin because we are going to roll this baby out into a rectangle. Now I kind of form it like this into like a little rectangle. Make sure it's all coated in flour, and then I start rolling out. Now, if you're struggling to roll it out, if you feel like it's just springing back, that's the gluten in it. So what you want to do is just let it rest for 3 to 5 minutes and come back and work with it again. Let that relax a little, and then you'll find out it's easier to roll out. All right, we're rolled out. Remember, it doesn't need to be perfect, okay? Take your filling, throw it on, and then I just use the back of the spoon to spread it out. And I like to take it as close to the edge as I can so that every roll, everything that we do has cinnamon and butter throughout it, so you don't get like ends that are just dough, you know what I mean? All right, we are covered edge to edge, just maybe a 1/4 of an inch border. We are going to roll it long ways, so I'm coming to you, okay? Now out of yours, you should get 11 to 12 cinnamon rolls, although it literally depends on how you slice it, okay? And I would use a serrated bread knife to slice them, that's what I do. You can use unscented dental floss and pull it through, cheese wire. I'm gonna rotate it because I like to slice it this way, and I roll the seam side down. So now you should have a nice long roll that looks like that. Cinnamon roll, you just did it. All right, now you are going to need 1 or 2 9x13 pans. Here's why I say that. If you want them to be bigger and have more room to expand, I would put about 8 in a 9x13 pan and put the remaining in another pan. Giving it some room in between each one lets them proof up and then bake up a little bit bigger. And depending on how you slice them, if you do thinner or thicker, that's the way to go, okay? So I've got my bread knife, and I am just going to slice. Now, I've done this so many times, okay? Every week for a year. So for me, it's really easy to eyeball it. But if you want to take a ruler and measure and mark and make sure they're all nice and even, then please do. I just have a pan here with some parchment, and I am just going to slice them and put them down, but they see me rolling. Aren't they beautiful? And continue that process until everything is sliced. If you're doing the overnight method, you want to cover it in plastic wrap and pop it in the fridge and proof it for an hour and a half in the morning. If you are doing just the regular method, you're going to cover this in plastic wrap and let it proof for an hour and a half, and then we will move on to the baking portion. Sorry this is a really long video. There's just a lot of steps. I'm trying to get through them fast. All right, it's the next morning. Our cinnamon rolls have had their second proof. Now they're going to go into a preheated 350-degree oven for 15 minutes. At that 15-minute mark, you want to put foil over top to stop them from over browning and bake them for another 10 to 12 minutes, okay? Here they are, in the words of one of my favorite creators on this app. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, now I made a glaze. This is powdered sugar, vanilla, and water. I like to do that, it's a little less sweet. You can also do a cream cheese icing. I sometimes do that. You can go no glaze. You can do whatever you want. You could do like a brown sugar cinnamon glaze. That is totally up to you. But I'm going to put it on now while they're hot so it melts and gets into all the nooks and crannies and everything. And then I'll pop them on a tray and we'll get ready to sell them. Some of mine, I like to add my homemade apple pie filling after the glaze, and then a drizzle of caramel for caramel apple pie. And these are a bestseller at the bakery. So there you go. Bakery worthy, mouth watering cinnamon rolls.